Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. I am here and I wanted to come on live. I got my smoothie to start off my day after dry fasting, probably about 9 o'clock last night. I did my hot and cold therapy in the shower, 2 minutes hot, 2 minutes cold. Did that 3 times, and then I went ahead and just stayed away from anything, any drinks, any food until about now. So it's 12:15 where I am, and I have some orange juice in here, and I have some frozen bananas, frozen grapes, and a couple of strawberries, and a few blueberries, and some frozen acai berries, if I said that right. So that is what I'm going to be drinking on, and what I thought about doing after my video yesterday. I don't have a lot of memory on my phone, so I'm going live, and I just wanted to listen to a video with you guys by Dr. Joe Dispenza, because, once that little birdie talked to me about my daughter and the things that she's been struggling with, and I know it's stuff that I've struggled with, and that so many CPS moms and dads and, everyone who is going through some type of hardship or trauma and trying to heal what we experience is very similar. And I've talked about this in the past, being in survival mode, and how this affects our chemicals within our bodies, and what we can actually do to help us to come out of this is to understand and understand what's going on within our bodies, within these minds, within our emotions, these emotions that we've been attached to anyways. So I'm going to play a video, and I hope that it helps you guys as it is helping me. And the title of it is 3 Secrets to Unlock the Full Power of Your Mind Today with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it is actually Lewis Howes. I think that's how he says his name. He is doing an interview with him, and I like this one because it goes through a lot of good information, because he's done so many videos and so many trainings and retreats and things like that. My friend who does the Reiki and who's helped me a lot with breath work, and I met with her just a couple times doing the Reiki, and she went to one of his seminars, and she said it was amazing. So this is one path, and it's, one of those things when he's talking about science and stuff like that. This is about like true science, not about pseudoscience and, the science that's been taken over. But we don't have to have science to know something is true. I just wanted to put that out there. But for many people, having the information and a lot of proof is helpful to them, because sometimes we limit our beliefs, and we get stuck in our old belief systems, and until we see something that kind of sets with us, and we can go, okay, yeah, I'll open my mind to this, or my heart to this. And sometimes people just want the scientific proof, and so it's good to have a lot of resources available to us, and to know that you don't have to go down one path. But I always eat up the golden nuggets, or I take all the golden nuggets that I can get, and you don't have to take everything that you hear. Take those things that resonate with you and see what happens a little bit later. So anyways, anyone who's here with me, thank you for joining, and I'm just going to go ahead and start this video. Today, my eldest daughter is having her 19th birthday, and yes, I was not invited to this. I missed her graduation. There's a lot of things, and see, I could be sitting here in fetal position crying, and I could be just thinking about all these negative things and feeling horrible about things. Instead, I am working on myself, and I am going inside. I'm not a victim, and so I look at myself and I take responsibility for the things that I have in my life, and knowing that I'm a creator and a co-creator, I don't have to stay here. I can continue to build the life that I want for myself and my family, and each of you guys can too. It is a choice, and it's all about perspective and not giving up. We have to persevere through those times where we're crossing the river and different experiences come, different thoughts and emotions, and our subconscious is grabbing onto us. This ego is like trying to take us back to the past and keep us locked into the familiar. So, yeah, I am choosing a new way, and I don't care how long it takes. It could be like that, and I'm okay with that for sure. Or it could take some time and some life learning lessons for me to learn. And so that's what this is about. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'll pause it from time to time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So this is, again, Dr. Joe Dispenza and Lewis Howes. His last name is Howes, and I will put a link in the description box for you guys. Thanks for listening with me.
And when you're living by the hormones of stress, not a time to create. No. Not a time to open your heart. Not a time to learn. Sometimes we do a meditation, we start opening our heart, we start elevating the body's energy, and then those emotions can drive certain thoughts of your future. You have to understand that if 95% of who you are is a set of unconscious programs, then the first step is lighting a match in a dark place.
This will be one of the most powerful videos you watch today. Right now, you're about to discover the 3 secrets to unlock the power of your mind with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I hope you enjoy.
And I'm going to say there, I was talking about the mind the other day, the universal mind and stuff like this. And truly, the way that I look at this and see it is that when we step into our consciousness, when we allow our soul to take the driver's seat like we're supposed to, that's who we truly are. We're these infinite souls. We are divine spirits incarnate as either man or woman. And when we get the ego right where it's supposed to be as a servant, and then we use our mind and our body and our emotions as tools, and instead of masters or identifying with them and attaching to them, then we're able to experience growth and freedom that no one can take away, that you can't get anywhere else. So this is really about consciousness and having our minds be our tools to get there.
How do we change our energy and how do we sustain it for an extended period of time? How long does that time need to be until we really start to see?
Sometimes immediate. Okay, so our research, and we've done in the last 6 years, because we were seeing so many incredible things going on in our workshops. I mean, people stepping out of wheelchairs and all kinds of crazy things.
Like a church.
We're kind of like
A church, like a mega church, yeah.
But hopefully not that.
Based in science.
Yeah, but
Isn't it amazing that some of these churches, when people get to believe, whether they have science backing it or not, it's the belief in the mind.
They step out into the unknown.
You step out of your body and heal yourself, right?
Instantaneously.
And we do see that a lot. And some people are like, how can that be possible?
Well, how can it be possible? Well, we've
done the research now.
I've assembled a team of scientists. We've done 8,500 brain scans.
Scary.
I can tell you.
Excuse
I
the
can tell
slamming
you
door.
when a person's about ready to change. I can tell you why people don't change. I can tell you what it takes to change.
So what's it take to change?
Well, do you change? Most people keep their attention, always their awareness on their body, and keep their attention on everything in their environment, people and things. Their brain is always scanning everything around us to determine what's known and unknown, what's safe and unsafe, right? And, we do that all the time. So our research shows that the moment you take your attention off your body and you go from somebody to nobody, you take your attention off the people in your life and go from who you identify with, from someone to no one. And so many people spend their whole life building an identity of being someone. Take your attention off your cell phone, your computer, your car, and go from something to nothing. Take your attention off where you're sitting, where you need to be, someplace you have to go from somewhere to nowhere. And take your attention off time, linear, thinking about the predictable future or the familiar past, and fall into the generous present moment. and go from some time to no time, then all you're left with is consciousness. And that's the moment you're no longer playing by the same rules of matter to matter. And there's a very elegant moment that takes place in the brain. In fact, I was just showing my research to a group of researchers in Santa Cruz this past week.
All right, so sometimes this can be hard for us. Anyone who's just coming on, what I'm doing is a live, and I am playing a video by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this is how to basically stop the addiction to negative thoughts and emotions, how to unlock the full power of our mind, which is our consciousness, to step into who we truly are. And a lot of us are in survival mode. Most of the world today is living unconsciously in the subconscious thoughts and emotions, all this programming and conditioning. So I wanted to provide some solutions and some tools, and there's so many people out there who have put so many hours into researching and coming up with different programs. And so I wanted to share these for you guys, here's one resource right here that can help us to raise out of these lower vibrations and to not see ourselves as victims anymore, but as survivors, and to heal and to create a new life for ourselves, which that rippling effect goes out to everyone else because we're all connected, and it will help our planet and everyone, our families, to heal and to come into a place of unity instead of separation. So I'm going to keep playing. From time to time, I'm going to stop. And, he just was talking about going from somebody to nobody, going from somewhere to nowhere, something to nothing, from no time or from time to no time. Shifting out of these places and being able to let go of those things that we're bound to on the form side of things that I've been talking about in my other videos that Eckhart Tolle has talked about. We have to stop identifying with the form and truly focus on just the formless, which is our soul. So anyways, I'm going to keep playing, and I hope that you guys enjoy.
And they were blown away. And I said, now watch, this person's going to have a transformational moment. They said, how do you know? I go, I've seen enough of these. And the next moment, the whole brain just lights up. That person is switched on. They'll never be the same person again. They're having a transcendental moment. And we could actually predict it and teach it now. It's a formula. Just like you doing sports, it just becomes a formula.
Sure.
And then you change the formula and you add to it, right? So when you no longer are identifying with your body, your environment, and time, that's the moment of pure consciousness. Now,
You're just an idea.
you're an awareness.
Awareness.
That has nothing to do with local space and time. And now, if you're no
Go
longer
beyond
you
anything.
you can go beyond, and that's when the brain, because the brain doesn't change the brain. It takes a long time. It takes a long time for the personality to change the personality, for the ego to change the ego. The programs to change the programs takes forever. Matter takes a long time to change matter. But when you're in this moment, you're no longer playing by those rules. Consciousness is the phenomenon above matter. In fact, consciousness is beginning to activate or manipulate circuits in the brain. People just think the brain is creating consciousness. No, consciousness is executing the brain, right? So then, if the brain can change, then the mind doesn't change the brain. Mind is the brain in action. It's consciousness that changes it. So when people begin to disengage and get beyond themselves, you are at your absolute best when you get beyond yourself. Then getting the person to that point.
How does someone get to that point?
Yeah, so we teach them that formula. We teach them to that point.
All right, so how do we get beyond ourselves? That's one of the biggest questions that people should be asking themselves, because we get in the way a lot and we can be our own worst enemies. Since the world reflects back to us the energy that we're putting off, it is telling us what things that we need to focus on and to change in our lives. And there's many other things, there could be other life lessons involved as well. maybe setting up boundaries and things like that, but something in our lives is being reflected back to us. There's a feedback loop, and it's there to help us out. The things that happen in our lives are not here to punish us, to judge us, but they are here to grow us and to evolve us into who we truly are, you know, these beings of love and light, and to let go of the past and these chains that have been binding us. So I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Where all of a sudden they reach that generous present moment where they just feel connected. And when they're in that place, all the things they thought they wanted, they actually no longer want because they feel like they already have them. So then imagine living your life from that place. You would be less judgmental, and you would be less frustrated, you would be less impatient.
Reactive.
And so the formula then is that it requires a clear intention, which is a coherent brain. And when you're living stressed out and something goes wrong and you're threatened or you can't predict an outcome or you have the perception that something's getting worse or you can't control it, you switch on that fight or flight nervous system that we talked about. Now, here's what happens. When that occurs, you start shifting your attention from one person to one problem, to one thing, to another person, to another place, because your brain is trying to predict the next moment. Well, every one of those people and things and places has this neurological network in your brain. So as you shift your attention from one to the next, it's like a lightning storm in the clouds. Your brain starts firing very incoherently. And when your brain is incoherent, you're incoherent. And when you're living by the hormones of stress, not a time to create.
No.
Not a time to open your heart. Not a time to learn. Not a time to trust. And it's a time to run, fight, or hide. So people spend 70% of their time of their life living in this state.
Wow.
So think about it. So
miserable.
So then when you're under stress, if there's a cougar around the corner, you're not going to sit down and meditate. You're not going to sit still, right? But so imagine you got the survival gene switched on, and nobody is going to believe in possibility when you're living in survival, right?
Wow, yeah.
So then, when you're living in stress, what happens is you narrow your focus on the cause. You narrow your focus on matter, the object, the thing. And so people get switched on, and all of their attention is on their outer world. When the hormones of stress kick on, the body gets an arousal. Now your attention is on the body. And of course, when you're under stress, you're trying to predict the future based on the past. And now you're literally enslaved.
A lot of us want to get rid of.
So there, right now, it's going into one of the ads that come on. And I just want to say for CPS moms and dads, this survival mode is so real. I mean, it is for everyone, but I'm just like using this as an example because my channel is very much about being a CPS survivor instead of a victim. When we are in that state, when we are in a place of survival, we cannot learn at that time. We cannot be creative at that time. We are trying to survive. We are trying to protect our families, and it is very, very difficult to be able to rise up out of that place when we allow fear and anger and hatred and all these things to consume us. And so what Dr. Joe Dispenza is talking about is something that can help each one of us to take the reins and to start to change our current circumstances. And you know, being a survivor is empowering, and that's what we need as CPS families at this time. And for everyone else, people going through many things, health issues, losing your home, just different traumas. This is for every single person or man or woman that exist on this planet, because we have been indoctrinated to stay in the survival mode, and the media is very much pushing this and is pushing fear and pushing conquering and dividing and just disempowerment. It's focusing on negativity, and so we have to step aside from those things, to turn those things off. We have that ability and that choice to focus on those things that we know will help us instead of keeping us bound. So, yeah, this is truly about being conscious in how we live moment by moment. And I really like what he and I just want to provide solutions at this time, because if we stay, just in this place of constant like we got to heal this, we got to heal that, we got to heal all this, that's part of the growth journey. But the solution is something that when we look at it, it will lead us to the path that is the most, the biggest potential for us. Trying to get all these words out. The potentials out there exist already, and so we don't want to get in the way of this. Our limited thoughts and belief systems can keep us stuck in the same situation day in and day out. It's like Groundhog's Day, and we don't need that anymore. So our families, we need freedom. So our families need this help and this information. And so I'm going to continue. It's going to kind of do this ad for 4 seconds, and then Dr. Joe Dispenza will continue.
Interabdominal fat. The biggest issue you could argue
The three-dimensional reality. So then how do you get what you want? You got to try harder. You got to force it more. You got to work harder. You got to fight for it. It's a matter of trying to change matter.
It's exhausting.
People just burn out, right? So then we now know that when you go from a narrow focus on something and you begin to open your focus, you create a sense, an awareness that the act of opening your causes you to stop thinking. And if you stop thinking, you no longer activate those circuits, and you start to slow your brain waves down. And as you slow your brain waves down, you start connecting to that autonomic nervous system, the thing that's giving you life. And all of a sudden, when you get beyond yourself, it says, he's gone. Let's step in and just clean up this mess before he gets back.
Really?
And its job is to create order and balance.
Your body will start to do that for you.
The innate intelligence will step right in. Once you connect, you got to connect. So you got to know how to change your brain waves. You can't change your brain waves and you stay in that active state. You're basically moving furniture around. You're analyzing your life within some disturbing emotion. And I can tell you, after looking at all those brain scans, if you're analyzing your life within some disturbing emotion, you're going to make your brain worse. In fact, you are thinking in the past, right? So you teach people the formula, how to open their focus, change their brain waves, connect to that invisible field, and all of a sudden different compartments of the brain start synchronizing. The front of the brain starts talking to the back of the brain. The right side starts talking to the left side. And all of a sudden, what sinks in the brain links in the brain. And all of a sudden, you see this person starting to feel more like themselves. And when you see those two hemispheres of the brain start lighting up, watch out, because that person's going to feel really whole. They're going to start loving life. They're going to feel like they're going to be in love with life, because the union of polarity and duality is wholeness at the exact same time. Coherent brain. When you're resentful, when you're judgmental, when you're impatient, your heart beats out of rhythm. Why? You're stepping on the gas and you're stepping on the brake at the same time. Your body and its intelligence, living in survival, is saying T-Rex is back there, but you're not running because you're sitting across the table looking at somebody smiling and your body's revved up, right? So the heart is beating arrhythmically. And when that happens, you're squandering, or you're using all the body's life force and turning it into chemistry, right?
You're using all that energy to survive as opposed to think beyond.
Right. So you're drawing from your vital life force, that invisible field around your body, and you're turning into chemistry. You actually are going to shrink your own field. The hormones of stress cause us to be materialists, right? When we're under stress, we're using our senses to determine reality. So now you feel more like matter and less like energy, more separate from possibility. So then, to teach a person then how to regulate that heart center. And we do this, we've done 6,000 heart scans. Why? Because if I can teach you how to get in that heart state, and I can teach you how to activate that center, and I can teach you how to regulate an elevated emotion, the heart starts to create a very coherent signature. And when the heart starts beating like a drum, like dropping a pebble in water, it begins to produce a measurable magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. Now you're more energy than matter, more wave than particle. Now, that field that's being created is measurable, and that's an energy, and energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information. So what is the information when it makes it here?
But you're sharing into the world.
It can carry the thought of your healing, because it's consistent with the energy. Guilt isn't going to carry the thought of your healing. It's a different frequency. And all of a sudden now, the person is elevating their emotional state and they're allowing their thought to be carried on that frequency. They're broadcasting a whole new energetic signature. But thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So then the question is, if you keep practicing creating that state of being, it should become familiar to you, yes or no? Yes. The word meditation literally means to become familiar with. So then...
Okay, so meditation means to become familiar with, and knowing that our thoughts and our feelings move us in one or two directions. It can either keep us in a place of lower vibrations or it can lift us up into the higher vibrations. This is key to us being able to rise above those things that are before us. So, I think that right now we need to be taking the time out to meditate. Know thyself. We need to know ourselves inside and out and to let go of anger, division, fear, judgment, anything like that. So these lower vibrations, we don't have to identify with this anymore. So I'm going to continue on, and just from time to time I want to stop just to point out some things that have helped me on my journey.
If you're practicing moving into these elevated states and your heart is coherent and we're measuring, and I can say, Louis, you got it. Now do it for 30 minutes. Now do it for 60 minutes. And you practice creating that coherence. You'll know when you're there and when you're not, yes or no?
Sure.
And then you would be able to say, like a skill, like anything else, give me a minute. I'm going to step out, and you're going to go back in the heart coherence and bring up that state.
How do we get there in the heart?
Oh, then we practice the formula. Again, rest your attention, start calling up elevated emotions, and when you start seeing that starts happening, then you sustain it, then you keep practicing, and all of a sudden, it gets longer and longer and longer. Now, what's the relevance behind that? Well, we've measured neurotransmitters. So when a person actually activates their heart, the heart releases a chemical called oxytocin. Oxytocin is actually the love chemical. Oxytocin signals nitric oxide. Nitric oxide signals another chemical called endothelial-derived relaxing factor. What does that do? Causes the vessels in your heart to swell. Wow. You will literally have energy in your heart. You will literally feel like your heart is full.
It's going to be
now,
pounding.
once you have that feeling,
opened up,
you're not going to want to trade that feeling for anyone or anything. You're going to say, why would I judge that person? If I judge that person, I'm going to lose this feeling. Now, all of a sudden, you're self-regulating. Now, once the heart's activated, I just was at the research lab this week. Once the heart is activated, it acts as an amplifier, and it amplifies energy in the brain. So once you start opening that heart, and it begins to signal the brain, you're going to suppress the survival centers. In fact, the research shows it will reset your baseline. In other words, if you're anxious and vigilant, and you learn how to self-regulate, you'll actually reset the baseline, and you'll say, well, the trauma was 15 years ago. I saw somebody get murdered or whatever. And then we'll say, yeah. But the moment, the heart, not the brain, it's the heart that actually resets the amygdala. And all of a sudden, the person switches down, and all of a sudden, like, I just don't have anxiety. We have thousands of brain scans with anxiety and depression from people from all walks of life. They've reset. And all of a sudden, they don't have that anxiety. They don't have to take medications or do things. They know how to self-regulate.
Where does all anxiety stem from?
Anxiety is doing this. Living in the survival. When you're living in survival, I'll tell you this. When the survival gene is activated, out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, you'll always choose the worst case scenario. Why? Because if you're in survival and you're preparing for the worst, there's always better chances of surviving if anything less happens. So people are always selecting the worst thing in their mind, and they begin to emotionally embrace that future before it happens.
Okay, so that is what I used to do. I would always prepare for the worst. When CPS came in 2014, hey, Yaz Burnt Butterfly, how are you? Hey, Roman and James, thanks for joining. What I was saying is that I used to prepare for the worst, and when CPS came in 2014, for that entire year, I was trying to learn, how is this stuff going on? How is this corruption happening? How is my family going through this without any trials by jury, without ever speaking in their so-called courts and stuff like that? How can this happen in America, right? And so I was preparing, okay, if this happens again, what am I going to do? And I have a video on my site which has thousands of views. That's probably why I have so many subscribers, because I recorded when they came back about a year later, and I had it all planned out. And see, I was in survival mode for that whole year. When someone would pull up to our house, and if there was someone driving by and parking or knocking on our door, I all like automatically these chemicals would release in my body, and I would go into survival mode. I never knew when, they may come back. And if I didn't feel prepared for it, then I felt like I was not going to be able to protect my family. And so what he's talking about is how we can create these experiences in our lives by drawing this energy to us. And so we have to, yes, knowledge is power. And I think that having the knowledge to stand and to live privately is so, so important. But not doing so from a place of survival is key. So knowledge and wisdom is power, but not doing it out of fear. So I'm going to let him continue, because this is very, very important for us to only focus on those potentials that are like, the lowest possible, and we prepare for that, and that's what we end up, creating. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy as creators and co-creators, because we have not been taught our power and who we are. So I'm going to continue.
Thought and emotion, you start conditioning. So you're conditioning the body to become the mind of fear. You keep doing that enough times, once the body becomes the mind, it's a subconscious program. The person has a panic attack. Try as you may to control it with your conscious mind. You can't. You programmed it subconsciously. Now you worry about the next panic attack, and as you start worrying about the next panic attack, it's the vigilance that creates the next one.
Wow.
Now here's what's happening in our work. People who are self-regulating and creating these elevated states, we have heart scans of them sustaining heart coherence for a whole hour during a meditation. If you're living
So Dr. Jones is talking about self-regulation, not allowing us
you'll feel like it already happened.
to
You're less likely to try to control
keep us stuck. Sorry, my stream kept cutting off, and I don't want to talk over him. I want you guys to be able to hear, but I will leave a link in the description box for you guys as well. But I wanted you guys to know, yeah, self-regulation, being able to raise up these elevated emotions and to link our intentions, to bring them together in order to have heart and brain coherence. And then that creates something very powerful in our field around us and our energy that we are putting out there into the universe. And that's what we end up attracting back to us. So sorry for interrupting him.
Know that the moment you lose the feeling, you just disconnect it, and you're going to make your way back. And when you get good at it, no person, no thing, no experience can take it away from you. Now you're empowered. And if you understand the laws of how creation happens, then you're less likely to compete and rush to get what you want. You're going to know that it's going to come to you. And now that's the new model of how we create.
Knowing it's going to come to us at the right time. What if we want it faster?
Well, you just do it again. But remember, if you're trying to make it happen faster, you're back to the old self.
Right.
The new self would never do that. The new self would constantly stay there. And so then how does it appear? It appears in a way that you can't expect. Because if you can predict it, it's the known. It's got to come in a way that you haven't thought of, an unknown. It's got to rock your world. It's got to catch you off guard. It's got to leave you no doubt that what you've been doing inside of you that produces some effect outside of you. And when you correlate what you've been doing inside of you with the effect that you produced outside of you, you're going to pay attention to what you did and do it again. And the energy, the joy that you feel when it happens, you're going to use that energy to create again. Now, people say to me, well, I'm this way because of that person and that thing. I would say to them, so you mean then that person or that experience out there is controlling your thoughts and feelings. That means you're a victim to your environment. But when you start changing your thoughts and feelings and it starts to produce an effect in your environment, you're going to change the belief that you're a victim, consciously or subconsciously, of your life, to becoming more of a creator of your life. And now all of a sudden, when you become more a creator of your life, you can't blame anybody. You can't say, well, that person or that thing. You'd have to say, I got to be greater than that environmental condition. Who in history can I study that had the same challenges? What did they do? Let me just work that into my rehearsal so that I can improve, right? Just like you've done with sports. It's the same process.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that is the first half of this video. And I think what I'll do is I will cut this off, possibly. I'm not sure. If anyone comes on and is viewing this right now, I think this information is just mind-blowing, and which is good because we want our consciousness to take the driver's seat. And it is so helpful in us coming out of these states of depression and anxiety and fear and the survival mode that is keeping us stuck and keeping us from being our greatest potentials. So maybe I'll just continue on, and for those who want to watch this all the way through, it's great. I know I'm just kind of sitting here, but I think that is sometimes the best thing to be able to do, is just to be. Because when we meditate, that's what we do. We just sit, and usually it's silence, not having someone talking in the background, but we can have music or whatever if we want. But it's just letting go of everything and being okay with just being right here, sitting quietly, and doing this with other people who are looking for those open doors is very touching, and it opens my heart up even more. And I just want you guys to see how we are survivors. We aren't victims. We give our power away on many different levels, and it's time to take our power back. So these are some great resources for you guys that I'm providing. I'm not pushing it on anyone, but I think that, giving solutions and different steps that we can take that are very tangible, and it's going to take repetition in order to break the habit of being ourselves, having the ego in the driver's seat. We've got to be consistent because we've been living this way for a very long time. So I'm 41. For other people, some people are in their 50s, some people are in their 80s, some people are in their teens, some are just little. And it doesn't matter where you are and how old you are. Age is just a number. But when we've been repeating something for that long, it will take some energy to transform out of that and to ascend out of it. So that's part of the life learning lesson, and that's part of our growth and why we're here. So let's help one another.
What's more powerful than our thoughts or our emotions? And do our emotions change our thoughts, or do our thoughts change our emotions?
Yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is both. I mean, thoughts, to me, produce an electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings produce a magnetic charge in the quantum field.
Thoughts produce a what?
An electrical charge.
Okay.
And feelings produce a magnetic charge. And how you think and how you feel broadcasts an electromagnetic signature that influences every single atom in your life. The thought sends the signal out. Now think about this. And the feeling draws the event back. So you could have the intent that you want wealth, you want health, you want success. That's your intent, that's your thought. But if you're waiting for the experience to happen to feel it, then you're not drawing the experience to you because you're not feeling the emotion, right? So then teaching people once again how to balance their thoughts and feelings, because you can enter that cycle either place. Sometimes we do a meditation we start opening our heart, we start elevating the body's energy, and then those emotions can drive certain thoughts of your future. Other times, you open your awareness, you create brain coherence, you have the vision of your future, you begin to emotionally experience it. However you want to jump on the cycle and then sustain it, because the longer you're conscious of that energy, the more you're drawing your future to you. So then most people spend their lives, right? We live in this realm called space-time, three-dimensional reality, and move your body through space in three-dimensional reality, it takes time.
Yeah.
So everything, all your goals, all your dreams, all your visions, you're going to have to get your body up and dress.
My name is John Chambers. The video you're
So there's several ads that come on during this video. Thanks for anyone who's watching. I'm just going to again let people know that I am just on and I'm providing a resource, and as I'm listening to this video by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and actually Lewis Howes is doing an interview with him, the title of the video is 3 Secrets to Unlock the Full Potential of Your Mind Today. And this is about breaking free from negative thoughts, the addiction to our negative thoughts and emotions, our negative thoughts and emotions, the ones that we have identified with, those that are in our subconscious that are driving us when we are in survival mode, or when we are asleep at the wheel, when we have the ego, the soul, when the soul has stepped aside because we are busy in form. We are focused on the form and just living. So this is a time of raising our consciousness. This great awakening that is happening means that our souls are coming back, and they are taking the wheel, and they are doing exactly what needs to be done for healing to take place and unity to take place, and for us to rise up like a phoenix, rising out of the ashes, being reborn, being who we came here to be, the love and light that needs to shine for the rest of the world, so that each one of us can break free from these binding chains that have been keeping us enslaved. So this will play for about 4 more seconds, and then Dr. Joe Dispenza will continue. I'm going to just continue this video. I was going to put 2 parts, but for those who are interested, I'm just going to continue on since it's live anyways, and I might get up and do a little bit of stretching from time to time as I'm sitting here, but I will stop from time to time just to point out some things that I feel are very important, and touch on what he's talking about, because I've been learning this for the past year, and it's not one source that I stick with, but it is helpful to have this information in my tool belt.
watching went viral overnight, exposing what's happening.
Drag it through space every day to pay off that home that's in your future, right?
Right.
When you create from the field instead of from matter, when there's a vibrational match between your energy and some potential, and your thoughts and feelings are coherent, now you are going to begin to collapse time and space, or the experience is going to be drawn to you. Now you're the vortex to your destiny, and now you don't have to go anywhere to get it, because you're not playing by the rules of three-dimensional reality. You're playing by the rules of energy and the quantum. So teaching people how to do this and getting better at it, then all of a sudden.
So that's really important. We've been taught to go outside ourselves all the time, and to have to work so hard for everything. This is what we've been trained to do, is that those who are sweating and in tears and all of that, those are the only ones who make it. And there is other ways, there are other paths, that it's not about cheating or anything like that. We still are going to have life learning lessons along the way. However, there is a way that is much more how would you say, peaceful and in harmony and in love, that we can grow from, and that we can experience the abundance that is ours, or the love, the freedom. Put whatever word in there that you want to put in there, that you're looking for in your life. And we can create this and co-create this from a place of consciousness, not a place from unconsciousness where we are creating like karma, where we will reap what we sow in such a way that you're things to you that you're creating in such a way that binds you, and it does harm to yourself or others. So we want to stay free from karma, and we want to be creating the way that we were meant to create, from the heart space, the open heart.
Sudden, they're not forcing and controlling outcomes. In fact, they're trusting and surrendering to outcomes because they don't want to get in the way. Because the moment you start trying to predict when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, you're overlaying a known over a place where there should be an unknown, right? So teaching people how to do that means we have to lay down the very thing we used our whole life to get what we want for something greater to occur, right? And so that transcendent moment is something that we're working on demystifying. And you could be a gluten-free person, you could be a gluten-full person. You could drink wine, not drink wine. You could be rich, you could be poor, you could be any color, any shape, any size. In fact, you can't tell me you're too old to do this work. You can't tell me that. We got elders in this work that we show you their brain scans and you'd be blown away. They know how to do it. You can't tell me you're too sick to do this work. We have people that have reversed stage 4 cancer numerous times. And yeah, it took a Herculean effort to do it, but they love themselves for it. You can't tell me that you're too out of shape or too overweight or too underweight. You can't. I've seen it in all shapes and sizes. You can't even tell me that you had a brutal past. You can't even tell me you never meditated before. In fact, our research shows that many people have never meditated before have the most profound experiences because they're not trying to make anything happen. Yeah. They're just following the instructions, right? And they don't have a habit of doing it. So we don't want to exclude anybody in the process. We want to include everybody. So it turns out that our events tend to draw a good portion of men because of the science. We have a lot of children now that are, teenagers that are coming, people in their 20s. We have a great community of elders. We have, in our events, sometimes 63 different cultures coming to your energy. Is going to bigger wave. The higher the amplitude, the higher the wave, the more energy there is. So now one mind and one heart. And now.
So the video cut off for a second, and he's talking about communities coming together. And one of the dreams that I have is for CPS moms and dads, families to come together and to be able to go to a seminar or a retreat of some sort and be able to have this heart and brain coherence together, experience the healing and just coming out of being victims and just being empowered together. And so what he's saying is when you come together and everyone is unifying together, one heart and one mind, being one, that we are in unity, that we will experience great expansion in our consciousness and changes and shifts in our world. So this is about all of us together, and so I think that someday this would be wonderful for those who have experienced the separation or destruction of any kind, traumas in our families, to be able to unite together and to be involved in this type of practice to help us on our journeys. So I'm going to continue.
It comes to healing others, and we've done the research on this now, and we're collecting the data that we're teaching people how to administer a change in energy in a person that's laying there, because it's not matter that emits a field. That's the wrong way to think about it. It's the field that creates matter. You change the field, you change matter. It's not your job to change the tumor. The tumor's the illusion. It's the pattern in the field that has to be changed. So once people start reversing this, then you start seeing tumors disappearing. You start seeing blind people seeing, deaf people hearing. You start seeing people with Parkinson's disease switch on. I mean, you start seeing stage 4 cancers reversing because now you're swimming upstream. You're going to the headwaters and making that change. So pushing the envelope and then seeing that in a community, when a community is synchronized towards the second half of a week-long event. I mean, as I said before we started the show, I'm more surprised than anybody when we witness some of these things. It's crazy.
What is we talked about, I heard you say consciousness a couple of times. What's the difference between mindset and consciousness?
To me, consciousness is awareness. Awareness is paying attention and noticing. And so 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of unconscious automatic programs that we've just practiced so many times that we're not consciously thinking about those. So in order for you to change, to answer the initial question that you asked, the first step is you got to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. And you got to start looking at those hardwired thoughts that you think every day that are just circuits that have been fired and wired together.
How do we do that? Should we write a list at the end of the day, or what are the most common thoughts we have that day? Like, how does someone become aware of
You don't have
thoughts?
to do that. You just have to sit down, close your eyes, and not move. And then you'll start seeing.
What am I thinking about right now?
Yeah, and all you want to do is observe the thought, because when you begin to observe that thought, you're no longer the program now. You're the consciousness observing the program, and you're starting to pull out of the program.
Thinking about the thinking.
Yeah, who's doing the thinking of the thinking about the thinking? That's who you are when you're not the program. That's awareness, right?
Yeah.
You got to become aware of how you speak, how you act, become so conscious, so aware of it that you won't go unconscious and let that thought or that behavior run you. You got to say, oh my God, this feeling that I've been living by for the last 20 years is actually guilt. I didn't know it was guilt because it just feels like me. And all of a sudden, as you start becoming conscious of it, you're beginning to objectify your subjective self. You're pulling out of those programs. And nobody likes to do that because it's uncomfortable. They'd rather turn on their cell phone, start texting, get on the internet, watch TV to distract them from that moment. And that is what they have to move through in order to get to their own personal freedom. So the first step is becoming conscious. And meditation means to become familiar with, to become conscious of, to become so conscious of your unconscious self that you won't go unconscious to any thought, any behavior or emotion. And get ready, because it takes a tremendous amount of energy to do that, and awareness to stay conscious. And so we fall from grace.
Yeah.
Fine. You're awake. You got another day. Let's go again.
How often do you fall?
Oh my gosh. I mean, how many times have I done it? Thousands, but I'm not.
All right. So we're not always going to get this right. There's going to be times when we, like he says, fall from grace. When, all of a sudden we start to see, I've been stuck in these thoughts for a while. And then I want to bring up something that I've noticed recently. When I am going through my day and all of a sudden, like, I step on a rock, if I'm grounding and stuff like that, and I'm walking outside, because a lot of times I don't have shoes on, or if I trip, or if I hit myself on something, all of a sudden it wakes me up. And I think right at that moment, what am I thinking about? What was I just thinking about? Was I in just the unconscious thoughts and emotions? What was going on at that time? And I go, okay, yeah, I'm awake. And it brings me back to just being pure awareness and being aware of where I'm putting my focus, and if I'm allowing these thoughts to just run in the background, and I look at, are these things serving me or are they not? And I let them go. So this has happened over the last couple of months, and every time I just, like I said, I say, okay, I'm awake. I got it. It's like a sign to me, or a little nudge, like, hey, you're falling back into these old patterns. So I'll let him continue. For those who are just joining, I will just let you guys know, this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm just playing a video and I'm doing some stretches while I'm listening with you guys, because I want to provide solutions. And the title of this video is 3 Secrets to Unlock the Full Potential of Your Mind. And Lewis Howes is doing an interview with him, and this is about a 45-minute video. And I like this one because he goes through a lot of the topics that he goes through in his other videos that are a little bit shorter. So this is just a combination of everything that we can do, not everything, but a lot of tools that we can use, some steps to stop being addicted to our negative thoughts or emotions, or the thoughts and emotions that we've identified to be ours, and to be able to create the change that we want to see in the world. So for anyone just joining, that is what I'm doing, because you might be going, why is she just sitting here stretching, and why is someone talking in the background? So I want to just let you guys know. So I'm going to continue, and here's Joe Dispenza.
Going to give up, because the moments in which I do connect, or the moments that I do have that transcendental experience, what matters the most after it, when
You're
I have
welcome.
that transcendental moment, I look back at all of those difficult meditations, those difficult, and those are the ones you remember. You don't remember the good meditations. You remember the ones where you came up against yourself, and you went a little further, and you said, I'm going to go a little further, I'm going to go a little further. Or you had a rough day, and you just went in, and you at the end of the day, you surrender, and you have the classic, oh my God moment. There's no linear correlation. It's just whether you're willing to live in creation instead of living in survival. And so you get better at it. We just get better at it. And for me,
I'm going to stop right there for a second. I'm going to also include a link in the description box by Dr. Morse in one of his recent spirituality classes. Now, he talks about there is different realms and dimensions in this world, and he talks about living and staying stuck in creation and continuing to create and all of this type of stuff. And then the God worlds where you rise above this stuff. And I'm still learning all of this, but it's very interesting to hear the different perspectives and knowledge that people have and are sharing. And so I think that for me, where I am right now is, instead of creating from an unconscious place, because I think that no matter what, we're always creating. Like Dr. Morse is creating healing and helping to unify people and to raise them up, to help them to experience their true authentic self as spiritual beings, just by going on the path of health and just being able to heal our bodies, because that automatically brings us out of these places of lower vibrations. So that's one way we can do it. And so for me, that is kind of where I'm at. But trying to stop identifying with the form on many levels as we do this consciously is what is important to me at this time. And I realize that as I learn more and more, that there's a lot I don't know, so I'm open to a lot more. So I wanted to also provide this link by Dr. Morse, because he has kind of a picture that he shows to people about coming out of the creative world, the creation world, being stuck here in form, and really rising up and being more in the God world. So yes, knowledge of the densities is becoming more discussed. Very interesting. Yeah, I think so too. So the more that we can just, there's teachers out there. We don't have to follow anyone, but we have a lot of information available, and we're all in this lifeboat together. And so what we can glean, knowledge is power, and wisdom comes when we are seeking answers to things, and when we go within, we will get these keys, and so people will be brought to us. So as frequency changes, let me hold on one sec. Someone said, American 1761 says, as frequency changes around us, we also change, because the frequency will become more aware. And so, yeah, this is about awareness. And as we are aware and conscious, our frequencies are higher and higher. Our energy, our vibrations raise up. And that's where no one can touch us, because in the spiritual realm of things, that is where the big stuff is happening. And we often can't see this, but when we are more connected with who we are and with source of everything, then we are able to sense this, and we are able to be led onto paths that take us to the places where we're supposed to be, people that we're supposed to be talking to, information that will help us to grow. So anyways, I will continue on. Thanks for joining, you guys. I'm going to continue. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza. For anyone just tuning in, I'm just playing a video as I'm doing some stretching because I think this information is very helpful for us to come out of survival mode and to be able to be compassionate and helping others who are maybe reaching out to us to be able to just have some resources that can help them through some of their emotions, that the emotions they're identifying with and are struggling with, so that they, I hear a lot from people around me that they feel like they're going crazy and they can't stop their thoughts from turning off, and that they keep repeating and focusing on negative things and they don't know why and how to stop doing this. And so if we can provide resources and solutions and focus on that, that is where we will make the biggest changes on this planet, because we are all energy. And so what kind of energy are we emanating and attracting back to us and around us? And the more we rise up together, it's going to go out in the world and it's going to change things and shift us from this place of, being in fear and stagnation and in survival mode into the true creators and co-creators that we are. So I'm going to continue. Thanks for just sticking with me as I stretch.
Conscious and staying aware and staying present is an art, because you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. You know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So imagine this field of information, this intelligence that lives within you and I, that's governing everything material in this world. It's a self-organizing intelligence. You have access to it, so you better get present with it, as well as you can get present with anything else. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right. That realm you can't experience with your senses. You can only experience with your awareness. So then people have to take their attention off their bodies and go from a somebody to a nobody. Take their attention off the people in their life and go from that they identify with and go from a someone to a no one. Take their attention off the things in their life, their cell phone, their computer, their car, and go from something to nothing. Take their attention off where they sleep, where they work, where they're sitting, and go from somewhere to nowhere. Take their attention off the predictable future and the familiar past and time, and go from some time to no time. And now if you're taking all of your attention off of everything material in this three-dimensional reality, now there's only one other thing that's left. That means you're in awareness, your consciousness. And now that is the bridge. That is the door to the quantum field. And you can't enter the quantum field as a somebody. So if someone has spent their whole life working on having the perfect body, or so much so they have so much attention on their pain, where you place your attention is where you place your energy, it's going to take some work for them to take all of their attention off their body, right? Because they'll do it, and then they'll go back, let's see if the pain's still there. Oh, the pain's still there. So it's a little bit of a waltz in the beginning, but as people start applying this, you start getting better at it. As an example, we have Bond University, university in Australia on the Gold Coast. Senior researcher took a large majority of my brain scans, and she had them analyzed by her graduate students, and they statistically looked at everything. One of the most startling things for the research team was our community's ability to get to that point where they're nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. Now I'm talking 4 seconds. I'm talking 5 seconds. I'm talking 9 seconds. Just give me a second. I know how to do this.
I feel like...
All right, so it's going to keep stopping from time to time. We're at about 30 minutes on the video. I have stopped many times, and that's why it's at an hour, because I wanted to come in and talk a little bit, so you're not just like watching me just sit here, but I'm being a participant in this. And so I hope you guys are enjoying this, and it is helpful for you guys. We really do have to stop just our daily routines and step out of this. And this is the perfect time right now. That's why I think what's going on is so positive in this world, because we can't just keep living in a place where we think, like La La Land, or we think everything's just just fine in everyone else's life. There's a lot going on, and this brings us back to looking within and to working on ourselves. That is what's being revealed to us. And we have to turn within and start to open up the keys, which are found in our open hearts. That is so powerful. Our hearts are, helping to amplify what is going on, and it's like a portal into our true beingness. So someone just said, Narvaez said, yes, the shift of, and I'm not sure the names, Skuman and frequency is bringing up all past issues to be cleared for everyone. Seems people now realize that we need to work on clearing and cleansing and doing it myself. So it's difficult to help the sleepers. Someone else said, hang all treasonous, people. And it can be so difficult to wake people up, but that's not our jobs. Our jobs are to work on ourselves and to shine our own lights, and then that will help to wake others up, because they're on their own journeys and they will awaken right on time. And it's hard when it's affecting us. Like for me, my blessings are with other people who are asleep right now, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way or anything like that, but people are at different places, and I have to trust that this is happening for a reason, and that there is a lot more ahead. I'm not looking and preparing for the worst potentials anymore. I'm preparing my fields for the rain that is upon us, and I want my sprouts to be like sprouting, my seeds to sprout up. And I'm watering with the best water I can and giving the sunshine that I can give. So that's what we can focus on right now. And today, like when I first started this video, I was saying that it's my eldest daughter's party today, and I wasn't invited to it. I've missed out on lots and lots of things, and I could be here just, feeling miserable and creating more disharmony, and I could be in judgment or in despair or sadness. But instead, no, I'm continuing on the path that is before me as a conscious creator and a co-creator with all of you. And that's what we have to do. Like, we can't look at our external circumstances and judge what is going on, because most of the things that are happening are on dimensions that we can't use our senses to be able to perceive. It comes from awareness, like Dr. Joe Dispenza said. So all of us are learning and growing. And if we can take one another's hands instead of pulling or pushing anyone and just work on ourselves, then the rest will follow, and things will, we're right where we're supposed to be. So we will be used in the way that we are to be used. And we are most effective when we come from a place of love and just patience and stuff like that. And sometimes we have to we always have to set really good boundaries, but there's times where we have to just kind of go and walk our own way for a while. And then, those people will be maybe attracted back to us later, because when energies don't match, sometimes it can be really hard for people to have any type of interactions. And so we have to be very aware of what relationships are, doing in our lives. How are we being lifted up, or are we being torn down? How are they serving us in any way? So I think that's important. So someone just said, yes, I'm having issues with certain family, but I am looking at my contribution instead. So yeah, just let's focus on what we can, provide. And we do that by first putting our own resuscitation mask on. And someone today told me, wow, I should learn, and I don't mean this in any type of bragging way, but when I was saying, have fun at the party and stuff like that, they were like, I need to learn how to do this from you. And I felt, that was just huge. That compliment was like, okay, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If I was handling this in my old way, what would I be telling others by my actions and by my attitude, it wouldn't be helping at all. It'd be being part of the problem. And I don't want to be part of the problem anymore. I want to be part of the solution with all of you guys. So I'm going to continue on in this. Someone else just joined. I'm going to be turning on the rest of Dr. Joe Dispenza's interview with Lewis Howes, and this is helping us to come out of the negative thoughts and emotions and helping us to no longer view ourselves as victims, but instead to live our lives as survivors and conscious creators. And I'm also stretching in the background for people wondering, what in the world is she doing?
We've brainwashed ourselves over the years to believe a story of the past is who we are and who we will always be in the future. So how do we brainwash ourselves in times of stress and anxiety in order to become more peaceful, loving, and successful in the future?
In life, you don't get what you want. You get what you picture. You get what you
Future. How do we
So there's going to be some ads that pop up. Sorry about that. Just his video has ads in it, so that's what that was. So he's going to continue.
brainwash ourselves in a different way?
Sure. Well,
This is a big question. How
that's
do we
what,
brainwash
I
ourselves
spent
in a
most
good
of my
way?
whole life.
That means being
Right.
conscious.
And wow, I mean, the first and most important thing is that you have to understand that if 95% of who you are is a set of unconscious programs, then the first step is lighting a match in a dark place. If you want to become someone else, you got to become aware of who you are.
Yes.
That means you got to start thinking about what you've been thinking about. You got to start paying attention to how you speak. You got to be conscious.
Being conscious to every thought, action,
Emotion.
word, emotion, feeling, expression, body language, everything
Yeah.
you need to be aware of and conscious of.
Self-aware.
Is there a way that you help people to track this besides just like, okay, I'm aware of this in the moment? Do they journal their thoughts throughout the day, or when a negative thought comes up, do they remember the way their body language is throughout the day, closed off and guarded, or open? How do they self-reflect where they can track it better?
Well, that's a big question. But I will tell you this, that you demystify the word meditation, and the word meditation literally means become familiar with.
Yeah.
And when you become so familiar with your thoughts, so aware of your emotions, so conscious of your habits that you wouldn't go unconscious to them again, now you're no longer the program, right? So getting people disentangled from that program, we found out is a formula. And when we teach people how to do certain things with their focus and opening their awareness, when we teach them how to create a very disorderly brain that has been driven by the hormones of stress into a more orderly, coherent brain, and teach them how to open their focus and practice that, they'll come up against those thoughts and they'll become so familiar with them. Listen to this. They won't believe them anymore when they come up any longer.
Wow.
And so when they hear them in their day, they'll be like, that's not going to stop me from my future. So if they're sitting there and they want to quit, just because they're sitting still and they're not quitting, then they're developing a will that's greater than those programs. And you're breaking out of the shell. And you keep doing that, you're going to get up and do the work every day because you did it yesterday. And you're going to want to do more of that because you're getting out of your past and it feels better. And if you keep doing that and you keep feeling better every day, the question is, why wouldn't you do it every day? Because you would ultimately just feel better. And then the more whole you feel means the more you are connected to your future. Imagine if you felt every single day, and this is what I do, work on. If I could stay connected to the emotions of my future all day long, there's no way I would be looking for when it would be happening. How could I look for when it would be happening if I feel like it's happening? I wouldn't look anymore, which means I wouldn't be separate from it. And that's when you start creating magic, right? That's when you're in that zone. And that's when that reaffirms that personality that you're becoming. And now you don't, wake up in the morning and go, oh God, I got to create my future. Now you're going to jump out of bed because
Excited.
You're not going to want that magic to end. That's the
Right.
key. So you teach people how to do this, and they start seeing the events in their life. They're not going to want to miss a day in really just getting beyond their personality. And listen, it's so cool because it's amazing. You see all these people come in for success and new careers and new relationships and healing from a disease and mystical experience. They come in for all these different kind of reasons, healing from a childhood trauma. But really, they just want wholeness.
Right.
And so as they start becoming more whole, and they start feeling more whole, it's not coming from anywhere out there. It's not coming from out there. Nothing out there is making them feel whole. When the novelty of the thing wears off, you feel empty again. They're feeling whole from within. Oh, this is different.
So I'm going to just say something about that. A lot of us, when we go through trauma and stuff like that, we feel as though we are broken. I know for myself as a CPS mom, my heart felt broken, and I didn't know who I was, if I wanted to continue on. And I've talked before in some of my videos about my past, just being very depressed, having health issues and stuff like that, but I didn't relate the two together, of having so much antibiotics and vaccines, and way less than if I was in this situation today as a kid. I mean, or kids, it would be very, very difficult. And I don't know what would have happened to my health, because one of the things I left out is in my 20s, they thought I had lupus. And so that's when I really started to question things, and they were diagnosing me or trying to with rheumatoid arthritis, all the things that the genes, that ran in my family and stuff like that. And so I had no clue about any of this stuff, but I was at least questioning at the time. And so I'm thankful for that, because I ended up, for myself, I stepped away from all of that, and I am now my own doctor. And I'm not like telling anyone to do any of this, but I believe that all the keys are within, and I have the knowledge and wisdom and information in order to be able to heal myself, and I have that power, and everyone does. But you do have to do so carefully, because if you are on pharmaceuticals and different things like that, if you just have to be able to titrate off of things, and you have to be able to know what, food is best for you, and how to best detox and fast in a safe way, and what type of things are going to be surfacing as you are detoxing, because it's not just a physical detox. This is also an emotional detox. And just like when we do yoga, we are releasing the kept up energy, that the blocks within us, and as they rise up, we have to be able to release these in a healthy manner, so that we don't get to a place where we feel like we don't know what to do, and we can hit the ground very hard and get into a place that is very, very difficult to come out of at times, because that is where survival mode takes us, being led by the hormones of stress and just dis-ease in the body. So I wanted to just say that to you guys. All of us are doing the best we can with what we have, and we can provide information to others that can be helpful, and support is so, so needed. Someone came on, and I wasn't ignoring your comment, but you mentioned that you wanted to talk sometime, and so I will try to provide a way to contact me. I'm trying to get to a place where I'm not on technology way too much, because I'm doing a lot of research, and I'm doing a lot of paperwork, and then I have visits with my sons, and then I'm working on things with my ex-husband to be able to see my daughters, and I am trying to do these videos to continue to connect with others, and to help as much as I can, to use my story, this new story I'm writing for my life, to help to support others and to encourage others on their walks, that we are, truly not alone in this walk. And there are so many more levels to this stuff than what we have been aware of. And so that's where I'm coming from, is the ancient way of doing things. And so I will try to provide maybe an email or my Facebook that someone can contact me and do a private message, so that I can connect with you. I don't offer any type of legal advice or anything like that, but I do provide support and encouragement, and then also some resources for people who are looking for open doors and are ready for making some changes in this physical realm, you know, for the paperwork and stuff like that. And then on the other level, where I'm talking about where the big stuff happens, the spiritual level, there's a lot of people coming together doing all of it together, which I love seeing, because we are in these physical bodies right now. So there's things that we have to address right here. We can't just live in the clouds. And all of this helps to free us and to free others. So I wanted to just put that out there for you. If you're still on, or if you come back later, I will provide a link in the description box for you to be able to contact me, and I will get as soon as I can. All right?
It's a different game, so why wouldn't you want to keep feeling more whole that you no longer want anything? Now you're not living in separation any longer. That's the cool part.
If someone is so disconnected to their future, their greater future self, if they're so negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts, often hurting themselves potentially, often just don't have many close friends, don't feel like they identify with themselves in the world, don't feel like anyone understands them, no one accepts them, no one gets them. Like, this all sounds great in theory, but when you're in a place of survival mode in your thoughts constantly, how can someone like that, without having to go through the workshop, that doesn't have the opportunity to go right now, what can they start to do to just give some a little bit of relief and peace in their heart?
Yeah, it's simple. Knowledge.
I have to give a kudos to Lewis right now, because he's talking to each of us right now. People have a hard time hearing this information. I would have had a hard time back when CPS first came in, going, no, I've got to do all this other stuff, and not being able to be in a place of learning and creativity, because survival mode takes us away from, you know, our true authentic self, and being able to have open doors that are our highest potential to walk through shown to us. And so I love this question that he asked, and so I just wanted to come on and, you know, mention that maybe this can help some of us and give us some assistance in being supportive to others, not only ourselves, but others who maybe are asleep at this time, that this can help us in knowing how to present information and how to shine our own lights.
Experience, wisdom. Philosophy, initiate that philosophy, master it.
Yep.
Mind, body, soul. Thinking, doing, being. Learning with your head, applying with your hands, knowing it by heart. And this is the journey of knowledge, because when you learn that information and you really study it, you are going to begin to see the world differently, because your brain is changing. Then when you start saying, how can I use this? How can I apply it? How can I personalize it? How can I do something, initiate this information? What do I got to do? How do I get my behaviors to match my intentions? Now, this is the act of trial and error. It's so important. You don't make it the first time. You don't give up. You get up and you try to walk again. And you start learning how to do this. And so as you begin to do it over and over again, you start having new experiences.
Yes.
Well, new experiences enrich the circuits in your brain philosophically. And now the brain makes a chemical. And now you're feeling more unlimited. You're feeling more whole. You're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind intellectually understood. And now you are literally starting to embody that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's signaling new new information, but you can't do it one day and expect your wealth to come. You got to do it over and over again.
Yes.
So the repetition of practicing over and over again neurochemically conditions the mind and body to begin to work as one. You've done it so many times. The body now knows how to do it subconsciously.
Just like it knew how to subconsciously lean into trauma and victim mode for decades.
Yeah.
Now the body's getting new information. It's going to adapt. And now you're going to literally become that knowledge. You're going to become it. That's what you're going to become. And so now that's when you no longer have to try. It's who you are. You've memorized an internal order that's greater than anything in your outer world that's going to tell you something else. That's key right there.
And you become...
So I'm Melanie. And
Sorry, there's another ad, you guys. 5 seconds.
Immunity to negative thoughts or negative viruses, where if someone tries to say something to you, your body just rejects it automatically, just as if your physical body would reject some virus coming in. Is that correct?
It's absolutely the way
So
it
I
works.
said, Dr. Joe, you can't do it. You're stupid. You're ugly. You're not smart enough. You're not this. You won't even. They won't even. It just bounce right off you. You won't even receive it because your field is so powerful. It's pushing all that away.
No, because it's not the truth.
There you go. They
It's
just
not
laugh.
the-
They just be
it's
like,
not-
okay, that's just not real.
But if I kept telling you, you know, you need this product, you need this drug to feel better, to look better, to be better, let's appeal to your lack. And if you buy this, it'll make that feeling go away. And you try it for a while, then the feeling doesn't go away anymore. You got to try something else. And now watch the news and listen to all that information. It's telling you you're limited. You're limited. It's something out there that's going to get you. There's nothing wrong with this. But if you're constantly saying it's traffic, it's the news, it's politics, it's my ex, that's making me feel and think this way, then you're subconsciously, not consciously, affected by your environment, and you'll be more affected by your environment. It's not a conscious process. But the more you say, I'm going to, in spite of the fear that we talked about, or the anxiety, or the frustration, or the aggression, or the hostility, or whatever it is, the pain, the suffering, instead of saying that I can't change that, you know what? I'm going to see if I can. Where can I find that information? And all of a sudden you find people that are doing it and it makes sense to you. And you're like, well, okay, I'm feeling really anxious. Instead of taking something that's going to chemically change me, let's see if I could chemically change me without something out there. Let's see if I can make my own pharmacy of antidepressants. I don't know. Let's see if I can make my own pain relievers. Let's see if I can make my own chemicals that cause my immune system to get stronger. I'm just curious. Let's see. Now the person they're out of the bleachers and they're on the field. So they'll start believing that they can do it, even if they change it a little bit. And if they don't get it the first 3 days, but they've seen a testimony of someone who has, and you see that person who's totally happy, that was abused every day of her life, and they don't have the genetic disorder any
Or
longer.
had their little ones taken,
You're going
or
to say, wow,
elderly
that person doesn't
moms
look
and
like a
dads.
movie star. That person doesn't look like they're vegetarian now. That person doesn't look young and buff, or whatever it is. They're going to look like a normal person, and you're going to say, I identify with her. I identify with her. She can do it. I can do it. Now, here's the cool part.
Yeah.
We've seen then when people do this with the same, stand on the stage and tell the story, that the person in the audience with the same genetic condition does it in a shorter amount of time because the 4-minute mile's been broken. Yeah, it's evidence. So now evidence becomes the loudest voice. Why? Because it's in testimony. There's truth right in front of you. It's right in front of you. We had a guy in Dubai he was in a wheelchair with this tumor in his spine, and the doctor sent him home to die. He came across my book like a week before. They got
Which
him.
book?
Becoming Supernatural. And then he read the book and he somehow got in there. Someone gave him a spot. He was in a wheelchair, stage 4 cancer, go home and die, severe paralysis, a limitation, crowding the spinal cord, the whole bit. Nothing we can do for you, all these pain meds, excruciating pain. 1 week after the week long, his tumor reduced by 30%. I just saw him in Munich. He can walk. He's walking without his wheelchair.
Wow.
I mean, he's in a new experience. He's believing now in himself. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibility. You can't have one without the other.
How do you believe in yourself when you've never believed in yourself and you've got doubt
good
inside of you
question.
all day long?
Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Keep learning, keep studying, keep listening to it. Sooner or later, that'll become a louder voice in your head than I can. It's too hard. I'll never change.
Yeah. And you mean knowledge of new philosophies, knowledge of new skills, knowledge of new anything.
Study. If you don't want to read, get on YouTube and watch
of
people
course.
talk about how you can change your genes. Just start looking at the testimonies on websites. I mean, we have over 450 testimonies now. People that have healed themselves. It's not small potatoes.
It's amazing.
Start looking to see what did that person do, and when they tell their story and it's worse than yours, you're going to start going, "Wow, that person really had a tough one, and
I wanna
they
do that
overcame it."
story,
Well, geez,
you guys.
I could just forgive my father right now. I could forgive my ex right now. I want to let them go, and I want to be free. But I don't want to give them my attention because I give them my energy. I put my attention in my future. Sooner or later, you're going to come to it the way you do. But if you don't have the knowledge, then you believe in it less. See, there's people that I saw this just recently. And I was looking closely, and there are people that do this work, do this transformation work in the meditations that we teach, and they're so impatient and they're so entitled, and they want an instantaneous change from the lack of change they're feeling, right? That they never overcome themselves in their meditation. They never overcome themselves in their meditation, and when they finish their meditation, they believe in this work less. Then there are people who say, I can tell you the moment I made up my mind to change, because I had reached the end and I made a decision. And that decision to change carried an amplitude of energy that was greater than the hardwired programs in my brain and the emotional conditioning in my body. And my body literally responded to my mind in that moment. That the choice that I made became a moment in time I would never forget. And they'll tell you, and that's the moment I remembered when I was going to change. Now, those people then, when they sit down to do the work, the chemotherapy hasn't worked, the injections didn't work, the radiation didn't work, the surgery didn't work, the diet didn't work, the yoga didn't work. This is now their end. They have nothing else to believe in but themselves. And they go all in, not 50%, not 60%. They're going all in. They have nothing else to believe in. Now listen, when they go a little bit outside the known, they went a little further than where they normally would stop. They pushed themselves to that next limit. They started believing in themselves that they could do it a little bit more. They finish the meditation and they get up and believing it's working more than working less. They're the person that's believing in themselves. That's why, because it's not the work. It's your belief in yourself, right? And then when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. When you believe in possibilities, you got to believe in yourself. Who else are you going to believe in? So people make these great strides, and their own personal growth is a testament to the living organism. The living organism, the species of human beings that's starting to believe, well, maybe we're not so as limited as we've been programmed to believe. Maybe we are more unlimited, and I'd rather throw in with that. And if you don't think your immune system isn't aware of viruses that could handle any virus if it got the right signal, and if it was in a state of wholeness and your thymus was activated and your blood flow to that center was turned on because you decided to turn it on, and you decided to release those chemicals that suppress the survival centers in your brain because oxytocin does, and you wanted to stay there for a period of time and memorize that feeling, I guarantee you that thymosin would begin to signal those T cells, and those T cells would activate their T cell receptors, and those T cell receptors would be releasing immunoglobulins and antibodies that would block those receptors coming off a virus like you may not pass. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're looking for more greatness in your life, then check out this next video right here. All the stories that
All right, you guys. So that was it. I thank you guys for hanging in there. We can live greater than our current circumstances, and I want to be that story for others, and then to have others be, coming back and commenting on my videos saying, wow, yeah, focusing on solutions and focusing on myself and healing myself has helped me to be exactly who I want to be, and it's gone out and helped other people as well. So someone just said, yes, let's see, recommitment to self-growth and stability, being the strong anchor for self and then others. Us caregivers need that reminder, and we do. Remember, you guys, put the own resuscitation mask on first, and because I am you and you are me, we are one. As we help ourselves, we're going to go out and it's going to help others, and we don't have to try to be someone else or something else. We just be ourselves, and we continue on the path that is set out for us, and we don't have to try to drag anyone else along with us. We all have a unique path that is, for us, and we're going to have life learning lessons along the way, and then people are going to be purposed into our lives. And as you start to change and shift your energies, and as you raise up out of these lower vibrations, out of survival mode, you're going to attract new experiences, new people, new relationships, a lot is going to change, and you can ask for signs from, all that is, in order to allow you to know, am I in the right direction? Am I on the right path? What am I doing? And listen to your heart. Listen to that still small voice within you that is speaking to you. It's speaking to each of us, but there's a lot of distractions that can get in the way, including technology, including just going and doing paperwork. It can be anything. We can end up putting our focus on things that help us to escape from, creating the realities that we want. Being conscious, living consciously. So this is about conscious creating, and creating just from a place of surrender. It's not about going out and trying to, sweat and be in tears because we're trying so hard. That's not what it's about. It's about surrendering and letting go. When we get to that place and we start to trust, that's where the magic is. That is where the life force will help us even more, because we'll be able to hear what is being told to us. And it's the love language. The love language comes when our heart is open. So let us walk through this open heart portal together. And if you guys want to go back and listen to this interview with Dr. Joe Dispenza, just go below in the description box and I will leave a link. And then again, I will leave some to Dr. Morse, and probably Eckhart Tolle again, because I like a lot of his stuff. I also like Fearless Soul. I like Rising Higher Meditation. She has some wonderful sleeping meditations that go all night long. One I will probably link again that I've linked many times is about self-love. And this is not about being egocentric. This is about being whole. We must love ourselves before we're able to love others. And that's truly where it begins. Loving ourselves awake, like Anna Brown says. And I think I'll leave a link for her site as well, because, we're all attracted and to different things, and certain messages will resonate with us more than others. Another one is Mark Bajerski, and the Crow House has some information. There's just so much out there. You don't have to eat up the whole plate and the silverware and napkins, but you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater either. So just take the golden nuggets, and I hope that this is helpful for you guys. I love you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. It helps me to kind of know if what I'm doing is being helpful, and I try to get back to you guys as soon as I can when you leave some comments. Just know that my love and light goes out to each of you. We are all in this together. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. So, namaste to you.